In the 18th century, Porto was not a capital. It did not command an empire. Nor impress visitors with grand courts or vast squares. Instead, Porto rose quietly, layer by layer, along the steep banks of the river Douro. To travelers arriving by water, the city appeared as stone stacked upon stone, houses climbing the hills as if pulled upward by the land itself. Porto was a working city. A city of merchants, sailors, coopers, and dock workers. Its wealth did not shine, it endured. This film follows Porto as it was seen in the 18th century through the eyes of artists, engravers, and travelers who recorded a city shaped not by spectacle, but by labor and the steady movement of a river. Everything in Porto began with the river. The Douro was not a backdrop, it was the city's engine. Boats moved constantly across its surface, carrying barrels of wine, goods from inland valleys, and news from beyond the horizon. Eighteenth century engravings show the same rhythm again and again. Water in motion, boats clustered near the banks, and the city watching from above. Porto did not turn its back on the river. It leaned toward it. From the Douro, the city could be read clearly, not as a plan, but as a process. Along the river stood Ribeira, the oldest and most crowded quarter of Porto. Here, houses rose directly from the water's edge. Their walls were darkened by time, moisture, and work. Balconies leaned forward, windows opened close enough to hear the river below. Painters rarely idealized this place. They recorded it as it was, dense, uneven, and alive. Ribeira was where goods arrived, where labor began, and where the city felt most exposed. This was Porto at its most honest, a city with no space to retreat. The river was never empty, flat-bottomed boats carried barrels of port wine downstream. Sailors adjusted ropes. Merchants waited, counted, negotiated. British traders appear frequently in 18th century images of Porto, their presence marking the city's growing role in international commerce. The engravings are crowded with small actions, hands pulling lines, feet balancing on wet stone, boats nudging one another in tight spaces. Trade here was not abstract. It was physical. Porto's prosperity came not from ceremony, but from repetition. Day after day, barrel after barrel. Seen from the opposite bank, Porto revealed its true form. The city rose sharply from the water. Its houses stacked in irregular tiers, as if carved directly from the hillside. Artists favored this view. From here, Porto appeared whole. There was no single monument dominating the skyline. Instead, the city itself became the subject. A dense mass of stone, roofs, and narrow streets. This was a city built to last, not to impress. Above the river and the markets stood the Serre Cathedral. From a distance, it anchored the city, both visually and spiritually. 18th century views often include the cathedral rising above the surrounding houses, a reminder of order in a city shaped by labor. The Serre was not isolated. It remained part of the urban fabric, connected by steep streets and narrow paths. Faith in Porto did not remove people from daily life. It stood above it, watching, steady, and enduring. Away from the river, the city tightened. Streets climbed sharply upward, paved with uneven stone. Lined with tall, closely packed buildings. 18th century street scenes show Porto in motion, people ascending and descending, goods carried by hand. Life organized by gravity. There was little ornament here. Only necessity. The city did not flow outward, it rose.